Welcome to the Mystery and History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. Robert Pershing Wadlow became the best documented case of extreme height in history and remained the main reference. Born on February 22, 1918 in Alton, Illinois, he was normal in size at birth, but hyperplasia of the pituitary gland began producing excess growth hormone, causing him to keep growing throughout his life. At 8 years old, he was taller than his father, and at 13, he became the tallest recorded Boy Scout, trying to keep up with school and ordinary activities despite the adaptations his body required. After finishing high school in 1936, he entered Shurtleff College and gained national fame by appearing with the Ringling Brothers Circus, insisting on appearing in the main ring, not in a sideshow. In 1938, he began traveling as a representative for the International Shoe Company, which supplied the shoes he needed for free. His final measurement, taken on June 27, 1940, under medical supervision, recorded 8 feet 11 inches, the height recognized by Guinness as the tallest ever proven in a person. With little feeling in his legs, he depended on braces and a cane. A poorly fitted brace caused an ankle problem that quickly worsened. Wadlow died on July 15, 1940, in Manistee, Michigan, at 22 years old, leaving a story marked by the record and by the search for independence and dignity. Uljana Larionovna Semjonova turned extraordinary height into a dominant career in 20th century women's basketball. Born on March 9, 1952, at the hospital in Zarasai, in present-day Lithuania, she grew up in a family from Medumi, in Latvia, a difference that explains why some biographies cite different birthplaces. At 13, she was already over 6 feet tall and was guided into basketball, joining TTT Riga as a teenager, the team with which she would win 11 European Champion Cups and 15 Soviet championships. With the Soviet Union national team, she played from 1968 to 1986 without losing an international game, winning 2 Olympic gold medals, 3 world titles, and 10 straight European championships. Her height varies by source. The International Basketball Federation lists 7 feet in its Hall of Fame, while other records indicate from 6 feet 11 inches to 7 feet 1 inch. Reliable sources do not confirm pituitary gigantism or acromegaly. After ending her career in 1989, she spent decades supporting former athletes in Latvia, and in 1993 became the first non-American woman inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. Semjonova died in Riga on January 8, 2026, at 73 years old after years of health problems, leaving a legacy defined both by height and by a run of achievements rarely matched in the sport. Sultan Kösen became a worldwide reference among people of extreme height when he was officially recognized as the tallest living man. Born on December 10, 1982, in the village of Alabi in Mardin, Turkey, he grew normally until about age 10, when a pituitary tumor began causing excess growth hormone production, resulting in gigantism and acromegaly. The condition made it difficult for him to stay in school, and he began working as a farmer, facing everyday obstacles with clothing, transportation, furniture, and movement. In 2009, Guinness World Records measured him at 8 feet 1 inch and gave him the title. On February 8, 2011, a new measurement recorded 8 feet 3 inches, the official value kept since then. His hands, measuring 11.2 inches, also set a record among living men. After treatments in Turkey, Kösen received specialized medication and gamma knife radiosurgery at the University of Virginia in 2010, managing to stop his growth. Fame brought him to television programs, events, and international travel, where he began sharing his culture and his story. Still recognized by Guinness in 2026, Sultan lives with joint limitations and uses support to walk, but remains an active public figure whose path goes far beyond a height record. Zheng Jin Lian entered history as the tallest woman whose height was reliably verified. Born on June 26, 1964, in the village of Yujiang, in China's Hunan province, she grew up in a rural family of ordinary height, but began developing abnormally as early as 4 months old because of gigantism linked to excess growth hormone production. Before age 4, she measured about 5 feet 1 inch, and by 13, she had already reached 7 feet 1 inch, requiring a bed, clothing, shoes, and other items made especially for her. As a teenager, she played basketball after being approached by a coach, but her worsening health, with diabetes and scoliosis, brought increasing weakness and mobility problems. After Dawn Kohler died in 1981, she became the tallest known living person and the first woman to hold that position. Guinness records 8 feet 1 inch at her death, although Chinese sources mention approximately 8 feet 2 inches, differences related to measurements and the curve of her spine. Zheng died on February 13, 1982, at 17 years old. Guinness attributes her death to complications of diabetes, while Chinese reports cite complications associated with a pituitary tumor, and her case later became part of medical studies. Some Chinese sources also record February 14th. At 7 feet 6 inches tall, Yao Ming turned an unusual physical trait into one of the most influential careers in international basketball. Born on September 12, 1980, in Shanghai, China, he is the son of 2 former basketball players and grew up in a sports-connected environment. Despite his exceptional height, there is no reliable diagnosis of gigantism or acromegaly linked to him. While still a teenager, he joined the Shanghai Sharks and, in 2002, led the club to the Chinese League title before being selected by the Houston Rockets as the first pick in the National Basketball Association draft. Between 2002 and 2011, he was an 8-time All-Star and became a cultural bridge between the National Basketball Association and millions of new fans in China, while also representing his country in 3 Olympic Games. His height occasionally appears as 7 feet 5 inches in older records, but the National Basketball Association and the International Basketball Federation currently use 7 feet 6 inches. Fractures and recurring foot and ankle problems interrupted several seasons and led to his retirement in 2011, when he was only 30 years old. Inducted into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame in 2016 and the International Basketball Federation Hall of Fame in 2023, Yao remained connected to the development of Chinese basketball, leaving an impact that went far beyond his physical size. El Hadji Tacko Fall gained worldwide attention by taking exceptional height from Dakar to professional courts. Born on December 10, 1995, in Dakar, Senegal, he grew up playing soccer and only began focusing on basketball after moving to the United States at 16. He studied at the University of Central Florida between 2015 and 2019, becoming known for unusual defense and reach, while also setting historic height, wingspan, and standing reach marks at the National Basketball Association Draft Combine. The National Basketball Association lists him at 7 feet 6 inches, while the International Basketball Federation lists him at 7 feet 5 inches. There is no reliable public diagnosis of gigantism or acromegaly, so his height should not be attributed to a specific medical condition. Even without being selected in the 2019 draft, he signed with the Boston Celtics and became a fan favorite, before playing for the Cleveland Cavaliers and completing 3 seasons in the National Basketball Association. He then continued his international career in China and New Zealand, playing for teams such as the Xinjiang Flying Tigers, Nanjing Monkey Kings, and New Zealand Breakers. In 2025, he moved to the Ningbo Rockets of the Chinese League, where he continued playing in the 2025 to 2026 season. His path stands out less for a single record than for his ability to turn a feature that always drew attention into an international sports career. Brahim Takiula became known internationally not only for his extraordinary height, but also for the way he turned a medical condition into public presence. Born on January 26, 1982 in Morocco, he grew normally until adolescence, when he experienced an impressive increase in height and gained about 2 feet 11 inches in just 1 year. At 18, tests identified acromegaly caused by a pituitary disorder with excess growth hormone production, and he later went to France in search of specialized treatment. Before that, he completed university studies in geography, refusing to abandon his education because of the condition. Guinness recorded his height at 8 feet 1 inch, and in 2011 also recognized his feet among the largest of any living person, with the left measuring 15 inches and the right about 14.8 inches. Daily life required custom clothing and shoes, along with adaptations in transportation and housing, while constant attention from strangers limited his privacy. Over time, Tacko began taking part in events, campaigns, and audiovisual productions. In 2026, Guinness recognized him as the tallest actor ever recorded. His journey combines medical treatment, worldwide exposure, and a continuing effort to build a life beyond physical records. Väinö Johannes Myllyrinne became one of Finland's first international celebrities, moving through the army, the stage, and rural work. Born on February 27, 1909 in Helsinki, he grew normally in his early years, but was already about 7 feet 3 inches tall when he finished school in 1927. His condition is associated with gigantism and acromegaly, linked to excess growth hormone. Even with his unusual size, he completed military service in a heavy artillery regiment and is recognized by Guinness as the tallest recorded soldier. After trying boxing and wrestling, he realized that his movements made a competitive career difficult, and in 1935 began traveling with shows across several European countries. World War II interrupted a planned tour of the United States, bringing him back to Finland, where he worked in a munitions factory and made some public appearances. In the 1940s, he went through another period of growth. His final height ranges from about 8 feet 1 inch to 8 feet 3 inches, depending on the source, and after Robert Wadlow's death, he was considered the tallest living man in the world. With failing health, he retired to Järvenpää, where he grew apples and raised chickens, dying on April 13, 1963, at 54 years old after complications from a hip fracture. Sandra Elaine, Sandy Allen, became one of the best-known women in Guinness during the 20th century by turning a rare condition into visibility and advocacy for accepting differences. Born on June 18, 1955, in Chicago, Illinois, and raised in Shelbyville, Indiana, she showed rapid growth from childhood because of a pituitary tumor that caused acromegalic gigantism. At 10 years old, she was already about 6 feet 3 inches tall, and at 16, approximately 7 feet 1 inch. In 1975, Guinness recognized her as the tallest living woman in the world, reaching 7 feet 7 inches. Fame came after she herself wrote to Guinness in 1974, hoping that publicity would help reduce her social isolation, which was marked by stares and practical difficulties. In 1976, she appeared in Federico Fellini's Casanova, and later took part in television programs, documentaries, and the film Sideshow, as well as telling her experience in the book Cast a Giant Shadow. In 1977, she had surgery to stop her growth, but over time, leg and back problems reduced her mobility and made her depend on a wheelchair. Allen died on August 13, 2008, at 53 years old, in Shelbyville, after facing repeated health complications, including metabolic, respiratory, and kidney issues, leaving a legacy tied to education and empathy. Among the extraordinary figures of North American shows in the early 20th century, Edouard Beaupré drew attention for his height and strength. Born on January 9, 1881, in Willow Bunch, Saskatchewan, Canada, He was the oldest of 20 children and grew normally until about age 7, when he began developing rapidly because of pituitary gigantism. As a teenager, he worked on ranches and learned to handle lassos, but his increasing size made that routine difficult, while an accident involving a horse increased his insecurity. Under the guidance of André Gaudry, he began traveling through Canada showing his strength, bending iron bars and performing other acts, before also appearing in the United States. On March 25, 1901, he faced the famous strongman Louis Cyr in Montreal and lost quickly. Reports from the time indicated that Beaupré was already suffering from the effects of tuberculosis. After trying to return to cowboy life, he went back to performing with the Barnum and Bailey Circus, and records close to his death list him at about 8 feet 3 inches tall, although different historical measurements exist. Beaupré died on July 3, 1904, in St. Louis at 23 years old after lung complications related to tuberculosis, leaving a story marked by public exposure and the search for independence. Leonid Stepanovich Stadnik became known worldwide for an extraordinary height that also brought him hardship and a fame he never wanted. Born on August 5, 1970, in the village of Podolyancy in the Zhytomyr region, then part of the Soviet Union and now Ukraine, he grew normally until adolescence, when surgery to treat a brain tumor affected his pituitary gland and caused excess growth hormone. Sources disagree on his exact age at the surgery, usually placing it between 12 and 14, and the condition was described as acromegalic gigantism. Trained in veterinary medicine, he worked in the profession before physical limitations made the routine difficult, later living with his mother and working in the fields. In 2007, Guinness presented him as the tallest living man, listing him at about 8 feet 5 inches. But that measurement was not confirmed under stricter protocols adopted later. Stadnik refused new measurements and in 2008 lost the recognition to Bao Shishun. Other estimates pointed to smaller values, leaving his final height controversial. Dependent on adapted objects and uncomfortable with public exposure, he died in Podolyancy on August 24, 2014, at 44 years old, after a severe neurological complication, leaving a story marked by the search for privacy amid worldwide curiosity. Paul Sturgess built an unusual career by turning his exceptional height into an advantage in sports, entertainment, and acting. Born on November 25, 1987, in Loughborough, England, he grew quickly, but tests in his teenage years indicated that his height was the result of genetic factors, with no public evidence of gigantism or acromegaly. He began playing basketball at 14 and received a scholarship to study in the United States, attending the Florida Institute of Technology and Mountain State University. In 2011, he joined the Harlem Globetrotters with the nickname Tiny, and that same year, Guinness World Records measured him at 7 feet 7 inches, making him the tallest professional basketball player then recognized by the organization. He later played for the Texas Legends, connected to the National Basketball Association Development League, and for the Cheshire Phoenix in the British Basketball League. His height brought practical difficulties, but it also opened doors to an international public career. After leaving professional basketball, Sturgess began acting in productions such as Doctor Who and Fantastic Beasts, The Crimes of Grindelwald, and visiting British schools with sports activities. In 2018, Guinness also recognized him as the tallest living professional actor, expanding a path that went far beyond the court. The story of Martin Van Buren Bates began on November 9, 1837, in Letcher County, Kentucky, where he grew normally through early childhood until his height began to increase in an unusual way. As an adult, he was recorded at around 7 feet 9 inches, although historical sources cite measurements between about 7 feet 3 inches and 7 feet 11 inches. His case is associated with gigantism, but no detailed preserved medical diagnosis exists. During the American Civil War, he served in the Confederate forces and reached the rank of captain, becoming known for his striking physical presence. After the conflict, he joined shows connected to P.T. Barnum and traveled through the United States and Canada, turning public curiosity about his height into a profession. In that circuit, he met Anna Haining Swan, a Canadian woman also famous for her enormous height, whom he married on June 17, 1871, in London under heavy press attention. The couple lived in Seville, Ohio, in a house adapted to their size, and faced the loss of 2 children who did not survive long after birth. After Anna died on August 5, 1888, Bates lived a more private life as a farmer until he died on January 19, 1919, at 81 years old. Don Albert Kohler built an unusual professional life without accepting that his height should limit him to the role of attraction. Born on September 1, 1925 in Hardin, Montana, although older sources also cite Denton, he came into the world 15 minutes after his twin sister Donna Marie and grew normally until about age 10, when a pituitary disorder caused gigantism. As a teenager, he faced difficulty finding suitable clothes, shoes, transportation, and jobs, along with constant curiosity from strangers, and gave up the idea of serving in the armed forces because of height limits. Instead of circuses and sideshows, he preferred promotional appearances and, in 1953, became a salesman for the Big Joe Forklift Company, staying there for about 25 years. His ease with customers turned a trait that had once embarrassed him into a professional advantage. After John Carroll died in 1969, Kohler was recognized as the tallest living man in the world at approximately 8 feet 2 inches. Over the years, a spinal curve reduced his standing height and heart problems damaged his health. He retired in 1978 and died in Chicago on February 25, 1981, at 55 years old, after decades spent seeking an independent routine instead of living only from public exposure. Bernard A. Coyne became known in the early 20th century for reaching an extraordinary height, although he lived far from the entertainment circuit. Born on July 27, 1897, on a farm in western Iowa, in the United States, he is associated with both Anton and Otto because his family lived between the two communities. His rapid growth was attributed to gigantism, and historical records classified him as a case of unicoid infantile gigantism. But part of the medical documentation disappeared in a 1929 flood. As a teenager, he was already close to 7 feet tall, and during World War I, he reported for military service, but was judged unfit for medical reasons. Promoters tried to bring him into traveling shows, but his parents refused most offers. Coyne made a few public appearances and was described as shy and not very interested in fame. His final height is debated. Modern Guinness sources list about 8 feet 2 inches, while other records gave him approximately 8 feet 4 inches, and he was still growing. With limited mobility and health problems, he spent his final years mostly at home and died on May 20, 1921, at 23 years old, leaving a story shaped more by family life and the challenges of gigantism than by spectacle. Aurelio Al Tomaini turned his height into a career and later into a community life far beyond the circus ring. Born on February 25, 1912, in Long Branch, New Jersey, he was one of 7 children in a family of Italian origin and showed abnormal growth associated with a pituitary disorder described in sources as gigantism. While still young, he entered sideshows and was promoted as Al the Giant, traveling through fairs and circuses while his height was used in publicity. Posters credited him with about 8 feet 4 inches, but that measurement is disputed. Local historical records from Hillsborough County indicate approximately 7 feet 4 inches, showing how circus promotion inflated numbers to impress the public. In 1936, he met performer Jeannie Smith, who appeared without legs, and the two married that same year, forming a well-known show duo. After years on the road, they settled in Gibsonton, Florida, adopted 2 daughters, and opened Giants Camp along with other businesses. Tomine became volunteer fire chief, helped build the community hall, and donated the region's first ambulance, earning respect outside entertainment. He died on August 30th, 1962, at 50 years old after problems linked to the glandular condition that had followed him throughout life. John William Bud Rogan lived in Tennessee in the late 19th century and became one of the tallest men ever documented, although records disagree on his birth date, usually placing it between 1867 and 1868. The son of William Rogan, a formerly enslaved man, he was the 4th of 12 children and began growing rapidly at around 13 because of gigantism. The condition also caused severe ankylosis, leaving him unable to stand or walk, so he moved around in a small cart pulled by goats. His height was estimated at about 8 feet 9 inches, but because he could not stand upright, the measurement was calculated from different measurements and could never be confirmed while standing. Rogan refused offers from circuses and show promoters, preferring to stay close to his family and work carrying baggage and packages at the railroad station, while possibly also earning money from photographs. Even though he attracted major public curiosity, reports from the time described him as good-humored despite the constant attention. He died on September 12, 1905, at about 37 years old, after complications related to his condition, leaving a life story marked by a physical record and by his choice not to turn his own life into a spectacle. John Asen became known in the early 20th century by turning his exceptional height into a career that passed through circuses, traveling shows, and Hollywood silent films. Born on March 5, 1890, in Minneapolis, Minnesota, he was the son of a Norwegian immigrant and had gigantism associated with acromegaly, a condition documented in later medical examinations. Around 1917, he began working in sideshows and became known as Johnny the Gent, traveling with different companies and attracting audiences both for his size and his calm behavior. His big opportunity came when Harold Lloyd needed a replacement to play the giant Colosso in Why Worry, released in 1923, a role that brought Asen to a much larger audience. After that, he appeared in several films and shorts in the 1920s and 1930s, almost always cast because of his height. His height was greatly exaggerated by publicity, sometimes advertised near 9 feet, but later measurements of his skeleton indicated about 7 feet 2 inches. In his final years, he faced problems linked to acromegaly, including vision changes and foot injuries, and died on August 1, 1938, in Mendocino, California, at 48 years old, of pneumonia, leaving a path between popular spectacle and the early years of American cinema. In the late 19th century, Ella Kate Ewing turned a feature that once brought her embarrassment into independence and support for her family. Born on March 9, 1872, in LaGrange, Missouri, she was the only child of Benjamin and Anna Herring Ewing and began growing rapidly at around 7 years old, a condition associated with pituitary gigantism, although there is no documented modern medical diagnosis. By age 14, she was already taller than most adults, and her final height remains debated. Many sources cite about 8 feet 4 inches, while other records give different measurements. Public attention was not always kind, and the stares and comments of strangers made her resist the idea of performing for years. In 1890, she accepted a 1-month run at a Chicago museum, earned $1,000, and began using public curiosity to help her parents. She later appeared at the 1893 Chicago World's Fair, and in 1897 joined a Barnum and Bailey circus tour, becoming known as the Missouri Giantess and appearing at fairs and exhibitions. With her earnings, she bought land and built a house adapted to her height. Later, she left show business because of health problems and died of tuberculosis on January 10, 1913, at 40 years old, ending a life marked by fame, independence, and dignity. Albert Johann Kramer spent much of the 20th century as one of the best-known figures in shows centered on extreme height. Born on June 15, 1897, in Amsterdam, in the Netherlands, he showed rapid growth in childhood and, according to reports, was close to 6 feet 7 inches at 7 years old, which led him to study at home. In his late teens, he entered European vaudeville as Jan van Albert and Lofty, before moving to the United States in 1920 and appearing at major fairs and traveling attractions. Between 1921 and 1933, he was considered the tallest living man in the world, although his measurement remains controversial. Guinness uses about 7 feet 10 inches, while later medical studies recorded approximately 7 feet 11 inches, and old posters advertised much larger numbers. His condition is also debated. Modern studies classify him as a case of acromegalic gigantism, but doctors who examined him in the 1920s did not confirm acromegaly. Kramer formed a popular duo with Swiss performer Josef Fessler, married twice, and had a daughter, while constant travel, pain, and foot ulcers made his routine increasingly difficult. After leaving the stage, he ran businesses in the Netherlands and faced severe physical limitations in his final years, dying on April 4, 1976, at 78 years old. Known nationwide for a height that transformed his routine and opened space for him on television, Afeez Agoro Oladimeji, also cited as Afeez Oladimeji Agoro, became a popular figure in Nigeria. Born on December 13, 1975, in Sabo, Yaba, Lagos, he had what was considered normal growth during childhood and adolescence until around 19 years old, when he developed acromegaly caused by excess growth hormone. His height was generally recorded at about 7 feet 5 inches, although reports vary between 7 feet 4 inches and 7 feet 5 inches, and the title of tallest man in Nigeria was never an official worldwide certification. Educated in urban and regional planning at Lagos State Polytechnic, he completed national service in Bayelsa and later appeared in Nigerian film productions. In 2018, he gained even more visibility with the reality show I Am Agoro, focused on the daily life of someone who had to adapt transportation, clothing, shoes, and common spaces to his height. Agoro also spoke openly about social difficulties, relationships, and the physical impact of his condition. In his final months, he faced chronic hip arthritis and asked publicly for help with treatment. Sources differ on the stage of the surgery. He died on June 14, 2023, at Lagos University Teaching Hospital, at 47 years old. In the late 19th century, Feodor Andreevich Machnow, also promoted as Feodor Machnow, came from a peasant family in Kostyuki, near Vitebsk, then in the Russian Empire, and now in Belarus, and became an international attraction. Records list June 6, 1878, as his birth date, although some sources give June 18th because of calendar differences, and his extreme growth began in childhood, probably linked to a pituitary disorder that was never confirmed by a preserved diagnosis. As a teenager, he was already over 6 feet 7 inches tall and entered the European show circuit, where he appeared as a strong man, breaking bricks and bending horseshoes. His height remains controversial. Posters advertised him at about 9 feet 4 inches, but Guinness considers about 7 feet 10 inches the measurement best supported by the available evidence. After years of traveling, he bought land, married teacher Efrosinya Lebedeyevna, and started a family, but later returned to touring and became famous in the United States, where he met Theodore Roosevelt in 1906. Fame also brought discomfort as doctors and newspapers discussed his body as an object of study, feeding his fear of exploitation. Machnow left touring around 1908 and died on August 28, 1912, at 34 years old. The cause remains poorly documented. Vikas Kumar Vicky Upal became known in the early 21st century as one of the tallest men in India, although his height was never certified by Guinness World Records. Records place his birth on January 1, 1986, in the Rohtak district of Haryana, where he grew up in a modest family and drew attention for his unusual physical development. In January 2004, the newspaper The Tribune reported that he measured about 8 feet 3 inches and was still growing, while Rediff in 2005 credited him with approximately 8 feet 9 inches. Without an official standardized measurement, these numbers remain controversial. Unlike several record holders with documented gigantism, there is not enough public medical diagnosis to safely state that Upal had acromegaly or another specific condition. His height brought practical and economic difficulties, and in 2005, he approached authorities in Hyderabad in search of work or help for his family. His notoriety also opened a small path into film with a role in Rang de Basanti, released in 2006, as well as public appearances that expanded his national fame. Upal died on June 30, 2007, in Delhi at 21 years old after complications associated with a medical procedure to treat a brain tumor, leaving a story surrounded by conflicting measurements and limited medical documentation.